Hey, grade sevens, happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing great, that you've had a great week, and you're enjoying, and you're hopefully going to have a great weekend and looking forward to it. So, today we are doing, first and foremost, our review that we normally do, and then we're going to go into word problems with integers. Now, the nice thing is word problems with integers are actually not too difficult once you sit down and actually read the questions. There's a few keywords here and there, and when you read out the questions, it pretty much tells you whether or not you have to add or subtract or what you're looking for in that equation. So, we're going to start off with our little bit of a review. So I chose a little bit more complicated numbers on purpose just because, like I said before, if you guys know the process for doing it with smaller numbers, you know the process of doing it with bigger numbers. The only difference is the answer is obviously going to be different. So our first question is 22 minus 39. So we have two positive numbers. 22 minus 39, that means we're obviously going to go past 0 on the number line because 39 is much bigger than 22. The only question is how much past 0 are we going to go on the number line? Easiest way to do so is to take 39 and we minus 22 from it and we get 17. That means if I'm at 22 on my number line and I take 39 points away from it, I actually end up at negative 17 because I know I have to go past that 0 point. And that's my answer, is negative 17, because I went past 0 and now I'm at a negative position. My next one is 42 minus negative 13. So remember, for integers and subtracting integers and adding them, if I have two of the same signs, that means I'm going to the right. That means this number here is going to increase in value. So remember, opposite, we go left, the same we go right. If we're going to the right, that number is going to increase in value. If we're going to the left, that number is going to decrease in value. So if I have 42 minus negative 13, I am going to go to the right. So what's going to happen is, what I can do is, remember, these two minus symbols come together to form a plus sign. So it becomes 42. I bring down my 42. Those two symbols come together to form a plus, and I bring down my 13. And that's how I can solve this problem. So remember, that applies if your first number is a positive number and then your second number is minus a negative. 42 plus 13 equals 55, or positive 55. And there we are. Our next one is negative 15 minus 12. So in this case, this is two opposite symbols because remember there's an invisible positive there, so it's going to the left. This number is going to decrease in value. How much? Well, we take 15. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative, I'm going to put it aside, I'm going to use it again later. I'm going to take 15 and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 12 to it, because if I'm adding 12 to 15, I'm getting further away from 0. Because remember, it's going to be a negative answer. So 15 plus 12 equals 27. However, remember, we're in the negative range, so I have to just put my negative that I tossed to the side, I'm going to put it back over here, and my answer is negative 27. Because what happened is, I was at negative 15, so if I had my number line, because I was at negative 15, which is, let's say, somewhere around here, and I am subtracting a positive number, which means I know I go further left. So I'm going 12 points further this way. And what ends up happening is, it makes sense to just take 15 and add 12 to it, and then just stick the negative in front of it. Our last one is negative 21 minus negative 32. Remember, we have two of the same signs. These two form together to create a positive. And what's going to happen is we're moving to the right. So I take my negative 21, and this number is going to increase in value. what's going to happen is this number, negative 21, if I have it on a number line, if negative 21 was right here, I'm adding 32 points to it. I need more than 32, to get from negative 21 to 0 is less than 32 points. So I know I'm going to go past the 0 somehow, because I only need 21 points to get to 0, and then I just have to figure out how many points past 0 I'm going. How can I figure that one out? I take my 32. I know I need 21 points to get to 0. So the easiest way to do this is to take 32 minus 21, because I'm going to take 21 points away from that 32 so I can get to 0 on my number line. So 32 minus 21 gives me 11. So that means after from negative 21 to get to 0, I used 21 points. I have 11 points left. That means I'm going to go 11 points past 0. So what would my answer end up being? So I took 21 points to get here, and then I used however many points I need to get past 0, which is 11. So my answer is going to be positive 11. So there we are. And that is our little bit of a review. All right, so now we're going to go into word problems. So I have all these word problems on a separate sheet. All right, so all my word problems are on another sheet. So I'm just going to kind of go over there. So we're going to look at this question right here, number 2. In Buffalo, New York, the temperature was negative 14 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning, and it dropped 7 degrees. So we started at negative 14 was our temperature, and then it dropped a further 7 degrees. So does that mean that temperature is going to decrease in value, or is it going to increase? It is going to decrease in value because we're getting further away from 0, because we're at negative 14 and it's getting even colder. So we're going to move we're going to move further away from 0. So I take my negative 14 and I'm going to subtract, because it dropped, 7 degrees. So, whoops. And it dropped 7 degrees. So I know that by taking negative 14 and subtracting a positive number, remember, I have to go left. I know that this number has to decrease in value. So right off the bat, I have to choose the operation, either addition or subtraction, that would make me move further left. So what's the other way I could do this? I could do negative 14 plus negative 7, and that would also make me move left. However, I'm not adding 7 degrees to that negative 14. It dropped, as in I'm taking away 7 degrees from 14. So I can't be this one. All right, so this is the thing with integers. You need to kind of learn the language of dropped and increased, things like that, that you would normally use for addition and subtraction, and then be able to apply it. So you have to know, like, oh, I'm at negative number, I have to get further away from 0, means that number means I have to go left on a number line, which means I have to get further away from 0. What operation is going to allow me to do that? All right, so I have negative 14 minus positive 7. That means I take my 14, I'm going to take this negative number, I'm going to put it to the side, I'm going to add 7 degrees, because remember, this number is going to decrease in value. By adding 7, it's getting further away from 0 when it's a negative number. So 14 plus 7 gives me 21. If I take my negative and stick it back in front, I'm at negative 21 degrees, meaning I got 7 degrees colder from negative 14. Right? And that is my final answer. In this case, we used Fahrenheit. All right, so let's go with another problem. So the problems you're going to have today are going to be similar to the ones on this sheet, except the numbers are actually a little bit easier. I just chose ones with harder numbers on this sheet just to demonstrate the knowledge you guys know, like I said before. You can do it with single-digit numbers, you can do it with double or triple-digit numbers. It's the same process, just different numbers. All right. A submarine was situated 800 feet below sea level. If it ascends 250 feet, what is the new position? So, if this was sea level right here, this is the top of the ocean, our submarine is 800 feet, is 800 feet below this level. So this from here to here is 800 feet. It ascends 250 feet. What it means by ascends is it goes up by 250 feet. What is the new position? So what we do is we start at negative 800 because we're 800 feet below sea level, meaning we're at negative 800. It's ascending 250 feet. So that means we are adding, because ascends means we're going up, so we're adding 250 feet. I know it's a positive 250 because we're going up, and remember we actually have to go right on the number line because we are actually, this number is going to increase in value because remember we're going up. We're getting closer to 0 if 0 is over here. All right, so you have 800 plus 250. What can I do in this case? I will take my negative number, I'm going to toss this to the side. I have 800. What's going to happen is I'm actually going to just take this positive, I'm just going to cross it out. I'm getting closer to 0, meaning this number here is going to increase in value, meaning instead of being 800, it's going to be a smaller looking number because that will get me closer to 0, right? So I'm actually going to subtract 250. So 800 minus 250 gives me 550. However, remember, it's 800 feet below, and I went up by 250 feet. This level right here is 550 feet below sea level, so it's actually still a negative number because I know I'm still below that sea level. All right, so I'm at negative 550 feet. And that's my answer. All right, we're gonna do one more before I send you guys off. And the good thing with word problems is you won't have too many questions. They're all numbers that you guys are kind of familiar with using. I don't believe anything goes beyond 2 digits. So here's another one. Here's another question that I'm gonna use because I don't have a very good example of this except on your actual homework, but here's where integers plays a huge role in day-to-day life. When you guys are older, or maybe you already do, is you're gonna have bank accounts. And if you have a checking account, let's say I have $35 in a checking account. Let's say, for example, I have $35. So that means I have positive $35 in my checking account because I have $35 that belongs to me. However, let's say a bill is due and that bill costs me $50. So I have to pay $50 for the bill. Let's say it's for the hydro bill. So it means I have to pay $50 for that hydro bill. What is the new balance in my account going to be? So if I were to illustrate this, you have 0, 35 would be somewhere right here. I have to spend $50 on that account, meaning 35, I am spending money, which means I am subtracting it. I have to spend $50 for a bill. What is my new balance going to be? So I'm going to spend over $35, so I'm going to be in the negative range, meaning I'm spending more money than I have in my account. And this is actually true. You can do this. However, it's not really a good thing to do. All right, so 35, I am taking away $50. So 35 minus 50, I'm going, I take my 50. I'm actually just going to reverse these numbers. So I'm going to do 50 minus 35 because that will give me how many points beyond 0 I'm going. 50 minus 35 equals 15. So I'm going to be at a balance, because remember, I know I'm going to go past the 0. My balance will be negative $15. That means if I have an account that has negative $15, it means I owe the bank $15 to get my account back to 0. Because right now I'm in debt to them. Okay, because that negative $15, I don't own that. So the next $15 I get, it's theirs. So, okay, let's say my new balance is at negative $15. But then, let's say I get paid. Or I get a check. Let's say I get a check for $40. That means I'm depositing $40 into my account. It means it's going up by $40. So I'm at negative 15, I add 40. What's my new balance going to be? So I take negative 15 plus 40. What I'm going to do is undo 40. I know I'm going to be in the positive range now. I just have to figure out by how many points. I have to take 15 points away from 40 to figure out how many points beyond 0 I'm going to go. So I take 40, I'm going to minus 15, which gives me 25. So that means if I'm at negative 15 and I'm adding 40 points, I'm going to be at positive $25. So that means I now have $25 in my account. Because remember, I had to owe the bank $15 from that 40. All right, so those are some examples. You only have a few questions for word problems. They're all relatively easy numbers. They're all going to be very similar processes to the addition and subtraction that you've seen before. If you need any help, let me know. But this will probably be our last lesson for integers, and then we're going to move on to a couple other smaller items that we are going to do before the end of the year, and then that's pretty much it. So let me know if you have any questions at all, and otherwise I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you on Monday.